Hashem appeared to in the plains of Mamre, while he was sitting at the entrance of the tent in the heat of the day. He lifted his eyes and saw that, behold, 3 men were standing over him. He perceived, so he ran toward them from the entrance of the tent and bowed toward the ground, and he said, "My Lord, if I find favor in your eyes, please pass not away from your servant. Let some water be brought and wash your feet and recline beneath the tree. I will fetch a morsel of bread that you may sustain yourself. Then go on, inasmuch as you have passed your servant's way." They said, "Do so, just as you have said." So Abraham hastened to the tent of Sarah and said, "Hurry, 3 sides of meal, fine flour, knead and make cakes." Then Abraham ran to the cattle, took a calf tender and good, and gave it to the youth who hurried to prepare it. He took cream and milk and the calf which he had prepared, and placed these before them. He stood over them beneath the tree, and they ate. They said to him, "Where is Sarah, your wife?" And he said, "Behold, in the tent." And he said, "I will surely return to you at this time next year, and behold, your wife will have a son." Now Sarah was listening at the entrance of the tent, which was behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old, well on in years. The manner of women had ceased to be with Sarah, and Sarah laughed out of herself, saying, "After I have withered, shall I again have delicate skin? And my husband is old." Then Hashem said to Abraham, "Why is it that Sarah laughs, saying, shall I in truth bear a child, though I have age? Is anything beyond Hashem? At the appointed time I will return to you at this time next year, and Sarah will have a son." Sarah denied it, saying, "I did not laugh, for she was frightened." But he said, "No, you laughed indeed." So the men got up from there and gazed down towards Sodom, while Abraham walked with them to escort them. And Hashem said, "Shall I conceal from Abraham what I do? Now that Abraham is surely to become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall bless themselves by him. For I have loved him, because he commands his children and his household after him, that they keep the way of Hashem, doing charity and justice, in order that Hashem might then bring upon Abraham that which he had spoken of him." So Hashem said, "Because the outcry of Sodom and Gomorrah has become great, and because their sin has been very grave, I will descend and see if they act in accordance with its outcry which has come to me, then destruction. And if not, I will know." The men turned from there and went to Sodom, while Abraham was still standing before Hashem. Abraham came forward and said, "Will you also stamp out the righteous along with the wicked? What if there should be 50 righteous people in the midst of the city? Would you still stamp it out, rather than spare the place for the sake of the 50 righteous people within it? It would be sacrilege to you to do such a thing, to bring death upon the righteous along with the wicked. So the righteous will be like the wicked. It would be sacrilege to you. Shall the judge of all the earth not do justice?" And Hashem said, if I find in Sodom 50 righteous people in the midst of the city, then I would spare the entire place on their account. Abraham responded and said, behold, now I desire to speak to my Lord. Although I am but dust and ash, what if the 50 righteous people should lack 5? Would you destroy the entire city because of 5? And he said, I will not destroy if I find there 45. He further continued to speak to him, and he said, what if 40 would be found there? And he said, I will not act on account of the 40. And he said, let not my Lord be annoyed, and I will speak. What if 30 would be found there? And he said, I will not act if I find there 30. So he said, behold, now I desire to speak to my Lord. What if 20 would be found there? And he said, I will not destroy on account of the 20. So he said, let not my Lord be annoyed, and I will speak but this once. What if 10 would be found there? And he said, I will not destroy on account of the 10. Hashem departed when he had finished speaking to Abraham. And Abraham returned to his place.